Hi everyone, my name is Omeed Daryani. I'm the Senior Global Brand Manager for Wizardry Online. Welcome to our SOE Community Webcast. Today we're going to talk about, we've shut down the closed beta, we're moving into open beta, and we're going to talk about some of the changes that are coming along with that, as well as giving you the launch date, which everyone has been excited about. Joining me today are Rod Haza, who's our Associate Producer on Wizardry, as well as Todd Carson, who is the Senior Producer. Welcome, gentlemen. Can we talk a little bit about the transition and what we've learned? I think one of the main things has been PvP, right?
PvP, a little bit on class balancing. There's a lot of things that we've seen. Some of the things we've gotten feedback on a lot from the players as the cutscenes. So we've made some changes for open beta. We're adding some new stuff for open beta. But you want to just talk first about what we've learned?
Yeah,
from closed beta?
Yeah, let's chat about PvP. I think one of the most interesting things is seeing how American players as opposed to Japanese players are dealing with PvP.
Sure. Well, and just so you know, it's not just American players also.
Oh yeah.
But we are getting players, quite a few from Europe that have been playing in beta. Some from Australia. From Russia. We've gotten players all over the world. It's kind of neat. We have the ability. Whenever we want to check how many people are currently online, it also shows us where the last player logged in from. And so we check it throughout the day, and we see people from all over the world. So it's pretty exciting. But PvP, because it's beta, because players know that, hey, my character's going to get wiped at some point, so I don't want to put too much time and effort into it. We've seen a lot of PvP throughout closed beta. And it's fun. But there are some detriments that come from it. I actually was PvP'd myself at one point.
Yeah, I believe we do have a picture of Todd shortly after being PvP'd in the game.
Yeah, I think we'll show that one here. PvP's fun. There we go. Oh, very awesome. Yes, they took the shirt right off my back. Yeah. Not to mention a few other things that was in my inventory. But that's fun. It's a learning experience, right? I think beta has given everyone a chance to say, how does the game work? How do the base classes work? Let me explore some of the dungeons, and then let me explore the metagame of PvP, protecting yourself, staying in a group, go ahead and trying to gank someone, seeing what criminal status does. So we've also seen a lot of players posting and putting up bounties on other players. So I don't know, there was one point where I saw $10,000, 10,000 gold on one player, and it was a combination of 8 other players putting a bounty up on the same character. So obviously there's some PvP players out there that are getting on several people's nerves. But that's good. It's good. It's good to see the community come together. It's funny when you walk into what's the bad area called?
The slums.
Slums, yeah. I just call it the bad area, where all the red people are. But you're walking there and it's just, you just get ganked right away. So we've gotten some good feedback on the forums from the players about PvP.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to note that we really appreciate the feedback everyone has been giving on the forums, and it's really helped guide us in some of our things. And the next thing that I wanted to talk about was the cutscene skipping. I think that was probably the #1 feature complaint that we'd been hearing on the forums, and just sort of generally elsewhere. I don't know, you guys
Rod can talk about that one.
Certainly a feature that we've had a lot of requests for. We investigated a few different ways to bring it into fruition for everyone. And in this case, we're going to allow the ability to just hit the escape key to skip to the next scene within the cutscene, allowing you to progress a lot faster if you prefer to not listen to the storyline as much.
Well, especially since we're going through this process again, it's going to be less painful for the players that have already gone through closed beta. Well, hopefully we'll see a lot of new players as well during open beta.
Definitely. And I think we should talk a little bit about some of the additional features that we're putting in the open beta to test out. I think probably the most notable one is the marketplace.
Yeah, so I'll let Rod talk about the marketplace. But first let me say that a couple other things we're going to do for the players. Besides the skipping the cutscenes, which will allow you to progress through the character creation, that first tutorial zone a lot quicker if you want. We're also going to be switching the names of the character around. So right now when you create a soul, that's good. You can keep that image up there. We're going to get to that in just a sec. When you create a soul, or take it down, whatever you prefer. Thanks for messing around with me. I'm not giving you direction anymore back there.
This webcast is over.
He's not on my production team. Right now when you create a character in closed beta, you create a soul name and then you create your character name. And the Japanese style of doing that is your surname, your last name comes first, and that's how you address people, by their surname. Of course, that's not how it works for us. We're Omeed. We call you Omeed. So we've switched the names around. It's a simple thing, but it'll help players, identify with themselves a little better. And then we've opened up the marketplace. We're also opening up a new dungeon. It's called the Underground Sewers. It's the final part of the story for Chapter 1. So it'll allow players to see more stuff. It's a big dungeon, has some really cool monsters, some cool loot in there. But that'll take a few days, or if not weeks, for players to get to that point. But it's still something exciting to look forward to that you didn't see in the previous one. So Rod can talk about the marketplace, because there's a lot of benefits for that.
Yeah, sure. The marketplace allows us to give access to different items that are going to benefit your characters. Things to allow you to forge your weapons a little better than you've previously been, a little bit more protection in doing so, protection for you for your items in PvP. We're going to be putting those up on the marketplace and allow you to purchase them through gold instead of our station cash. It gives you an opportunity to test them out, see how they work. We certainly look forward to your feedback on what you like, what you don't like, if there's anything that we need to alter or make more accessible to the players.
And they're all priced universally, correct? 10,000 gold?
They're put at just a level that's still accessible to the players. It'll require you to play a little bit, get some gold. We certainly didn't want to completely ruin the economy by having them just given away, but you certainly can get them without too much effort.
Yeah, and this will give you a chance to actually check out some of the items that will help you out a lot in the game that weren't in the closed beta.
Right.
So you can actually see, some of the additional stuff that you can get going.
Yeah, and we're really, like Rod said, we're looking for a lot of feedback from everybody on this point. So get in. You're going to have to get your character up a few levels to start acquiring that amount of gold. But it shouldn't be too tough once you get to a certain point. And give us a lot of feedback on the items, what you think, what you like, what you don't like. What you find valuable, what's not valuable, and we can make some changes according to that. So
yeah, and
this is good.
Speaking of things that are valuable, we're going to be giving everyone who participated in the closed beta, as well as people who participated in the open beta, a gift.
Right.
We're still in the process of finalizing the details of what it is, I believe.
Right.
But we wanted to make sure that we thanked everyone for actually helping us out with that.
And will items be for station cash only? No, everything in the open beta is going to be for gold. So there's going to be no station cash purchases. Now, when the game goes live, the items in the Royal Shop, and we're answering a question from one of you guys, the items in the Royal Shop will become station cash items.
Primarily, right? I think there were a couple that are gold.
There was during the beta, but everything in the Royal Shop will be station cash. I mean, there's the other shop. When you go in and you sell to the vendors, or you work. You can buy things for gold in the game, obviously. You can buy Demento medals, camps, and pieces of equipment, things like that. But then there's going to be additional stuff in the Royal Shop that's station cash only. But for beta, it'll all be gold.
Yeah, and that's so that you can test it out. We can see how things go, which things are popular, which things are working, make sure there's no bugs, that kind of thing.
Especially the bugs. But what I wanted to get to for the rewards for participating in beta, we haven't determined exactly what they are, but we are sure there are going to be 2 separate rewards. So if you've already participated in closed beta, you're locked in for one of the rewards. If you play in the open beta, you're going to get a separate one, possibly a better one as well. But we got to determine that. And really, part of the reason we're doing this is because, one, we appreciate people helping out with beta. It's great. Sure, it's an opportunity to get in there first, kind of figure out the secrets, be able to tell your friends, I did this. So we know players appreciate the beta, but we also appreciate the beta, and we want to make sure that everyone comes back when we launch and feels like, hey, not only do I know all the secrets of the quests and where things are in the dungeons, but they have something to kind of help them get started. So that's really where we're going to focus the gift for the beta rewards.
Yeah, and to clarify, if you played in the closed and the open beta, you will get both gifts.
That's right.
Let's see, other things that we want to talk about were basically just the open beta schedule, and this takes us into talking about what the launch date is as well.
It does. So we are testing out the open beta build right now, and it's looking pretty good. If all goes well, shortly after we're done with this webcast, we will open up the beta servers, and floodgates are open. Come on in, start your character, so you can get the first PvP level. Then we're going to roll through open beta all the way through January, and on January 16th, we're going to launch the game. Characters will be wiped again before launch. Everything's going to be reset, but that's part of why we're giving out the beta rewards to help get that next step up. all the dungeons that you see in open beta will be available at launch, as well as we have a few other new things that will be coming out at that point, potentially within the first couple weeks, actually.
And we'll be back right around launch, or possibly a little after, with another one of these webcasts to talk about what you can expect past launch as far as content.
Yeah, but January 16th.
January
That's
16th.
the date.
Write it down.
Yeah.
See you there.
So another thing that we wanted to chat about that's really exciting is that Wizardry Online has a Wikia page now. And this is a really valuable source for all kinds of information related to the game, as well as a great place for new players to kind of figure out what is going on and how to make the best characters and that sort of thing. So if you guys have time, if you guys are interested, we would highly, highly encourage you to go check out the Wikia. Let us know what you think. Also, feel free to contribute to it. The more people contribute to it, the better it's going to get, and ultimately, the easier it's going to be for new players to come in so that you can kill them. And then I think with that, we should move into question and answer. We solicited a bunch of questions on our forums earlier in the day, or earlier in the week, actually.
Yeah, earlier this week.
So we've got a few of them together, and I'm going to just ask them to these folks. So the first one comes from...
Wait, can I interrupt you real quick? Sorry. We mentioned the character wipe for at the end of open beta. I wanted to make sure, I know we announced on the forums, but I want to make sure everyone's listening. When you log into open beta tonight, you will have to create a new character, because we did a character wipe today.
Yeah.
Just so everyone's clear, I don't want anyone out there confused, like, hey, I jumped into open beta, where's my mage, where's my warrior?
Yeah.
You're going to have to start over again today.
Yeah.
But again, with the shop items and having the knowledge of what's been going on before, hopefully, and the ability to skip cutscenes, so you're able to jump back in right away.
Definitely. And so there's going to be that. There's going to be a wipe today, and there will be a wipe right before commercial release.
Right. Probably around the 13th or so.
Yeah. And we'll announce the actual date that the servers are going to shut down, that we're going to do that wipe a little bit later.
Right.
So the first question comes from Kurthoy's Blaze. Hopefully I'm saying that right. It says, can you sum up what the main things you learned from the closed beta were, and what you hope to learn in the open beta?
Go ahead, dude.
Well, throughout the closed beta, we were taking a look at the balance of the game, how the U.S. market was accepting the PvP, and just getting a feel for that. It also gave us an opportunity to test out our server structure within the server, our processes that we use within the back end for everything for running the game. As we move more into the open beta, we're trying to get more of the populace in there and get a larger idea of what everyone is looking for in the U.S. market. It certainly allows us to get a little bit more of that PvP aspect with more players, more of the grouping going on.
Yeah, well, some of the big things, I mean, we were having anyone who's played in the closed beta probably at some point ran into, we had an issue where you were getting an error message called authorization server full. It wasn't allowing you to log in, and we would end up dropping the server, and probably for at least the first month, we were trying to resolve that issue, and it was a pain in the butt, to be honest. But we finally have it fixed. We haven't run into that issue for the last week. We also had an issue where when you run into one of the dungeons, like Calagrassi Sewers or wherever, there's a limit to how many channels were open. Channels being instances of the zone, and we were limited. We weren't able to create more of those channels. We now have that figured as well. So there were several days when we had so many people playing the game. And going particularly to that new dungeon, because that's where there were good PvP targets. Anyone who'd reached Soul Rank 2 and kind of went back, PvP fights. So that area was very crowded, and we actually ran out of room. All 3 channels were full, and you weren't able to go there. So we fixed that issue. So now there's going to be plenty of channels for everyone when they go back in and play the game. So just a few things like that, where we've really tried to get stability going, allow for players to get in there and play anywhere they want. So some good things we figured out in beta.
Yeah, and I think going into the open beta, a lot of it is about testing the marketplace, like seeing how a completely new group of people are going to interact with the experienced people. And there's a lot of good stuff, and I think this leads us into the next question really well, which Frostheart asked, will there be a separate EU server?
Yes, there will be a separate EU server. You will have the option before you create a character of which server you want to play on. And we allowed everyone from any territory to choose either. People primarily with some of our other games, we found that they want to play on a server that's closer to their location. However, there are people that have been in guilds in other game, that have friends in other places that, hey, I want to play with my friends, and they're all playing on this server, so that's where I want to go. So we definitely want to allow players the option.
Yeah, and the lag thing we're very sensitive to, right?
Sure,
Where
absolutely.
In PvP, it's a pretty big problem if you're just lagging out of the fighting.
Right. No lag in this game.
Yeah, no lag at all.
We okay on loudness?
Ehova asks, will Wizardry Online be part of the SOE All Access Pass?
Yeah, that's pretty much the aim, is to make sure that our games are all part of that Access Pass, and we certainly want to make sure we've got a benefit package to add to that mix.
I'm trying to let Rod answer some of the questions. I could just give all the answers, and then he's just really eye candy for everybody. So.
Well, I think that the next question is perfectly suited for Rod. Miea, hopefully that's right, asks, does the stat roll bonus actually go up to 70? What are the odds in getting higher amounts?
And Rod is perfectly suited to answer this question.
There is certainly a limit that it goes up to, and it is quite high. I don't want to spoil the mystery for you on that, but it is...
Spoil it. Go ahead.
Yes, you can obtain that number.
It's
really hard to do so, though. I spent much time myself trying to do so, to the point that I actually, we'll say I spent a lot of time. Many hours, probably the best way to say it.
Many hours.
Yeah.
I didn't use
we had
macro.
this discussion last time too, though. You said something about don't settle for anything less than a 12.
Yeah.
And that has to have taken you a couple hours to do that.
Yeah.
I get a 10, I'm like happy.
Well, we actually, so I don't know if you know, but all of our servers at SOE are run by hamsters. And so right now, the hamsters are in the QA server just rolling, trying to get me a 70. And they can't stop until they do. I mean, that's just their job.
I think when we hit launch, people are going to spend a little more time there because they know that's their character.
Yeah.
So.
And it is possible. The odds are not high, but again, you're going to want that edge.
Well, there is a limit to how much you can put in any one stat. So if you do roll, a 20 or something even higher than that, you can only put so much into your strength, or you can only put so much into your intelligence. Then you have to spread them out.
Also,
so it's beneficial, but there really are limits. And if you go in gaming, you see the difference of, hey, roll a character with this stat and strength, and roll a character with this stat. There's differences, but they're more subtle than it might seem at first.
Definitely. So another question from Miea was, how long does it really take to come out of criminal status?
Nobody knows. It's a mystery.
Yeah. Pretty much, without giving any kind of exact stats on it, there is a basic system in place of, depending upon the action that you do, it produces a larger or smaller value, and that gets calculated to determine the amount of time it's going to take for you to become a criminal or a full felon. So pretty much the more dastardly you are, you're going to be spending a lot of time as a criminal.
Yeah. I mean, the straight answer is there is no answer. Yeah, you have to, if you're willing to, you have to experiment with it. Do something, see how long it takes. Do something worse, see how long it takes. Check it out, experiment.
Excellent.
That's what I encourage everyone to do.
Did we have a question from the actual Twitch TV audience? Oh,
yes.
Is there going to be a soul wipe in addition to a character wipe?
Yes, included with the characters.
Yeah, it's a complete wipe.
And another question, will there be new classes in the future, such as an archer?
Not at the present time. We don't have plans for new classes. However, what I encourage people to do this time, which we didn't see a lot of, and again, it's the time limitation, but multi-classing. I think we talked about it a little bit in our last webcast, but you can level up in one class, save some of those skills, start up. So right, you start as a priest, you get to level 10, you do the quests that are required, you start your character over basically back down to level 1 as a warrior, but you save some of the abilities from that priest class, or from the mage class, or from the thief class. So you're kind of making combinations, and then you also get to choose what skill tree you use. So there's a lot of variety already within the game that we know people haven't explored to any great lengths. But as far as brand new classes and character create, no.
Yeah.
Not yet. But give us some time. We haven't even launched yet.
Not yet. If you're a fan of old Wizardry, though, we are fans of that as well. So you should check it out. If you want indications of what may be coming in the future, studying up on what's happened in the past is a good indication. So I think we have time for one more question. So that question is going to be, just asking for a little more info on the Royal Shop and that most controversial of all questions when it comes to free-to-play games: is Wizardry Online pay to win?
No. The answer is no. But then I'll caveat it with a not really. A lot of you guys will find out when you take a look in open beta. But a lot of the stuff is cosmetic in a way. It also serves a purpose. One of the big factors in the game, as you mentioned, is maybe not PvPing yourself, but protecting yourself from PvP. Well, when you get new gear, you can see on your character what gear you have. So some of the customizations that we offer in the Royal Shop is basically an outfit that goes over your existing gear. It's more like a costume. So you still have your gear with stats on, but then you put this over it so your character appears in a different way, right? So basically what you're buying is a way to hide the gear you have on right now.
I particularly like the one that makes you look like Todd did in that earlier shot where he's like in his wife beater, but it actually just hides. Yeah, there we go. Just hides whatever armor that you have on underneath the basic thing.
That's what I was doing there. I didn't get PvP'd. I was hiding. No, but so that's part of it. I mean, there are a lot of other things in there that can help you with forging your weapons, keeping items from being stolen. So is that pay to win? No, because it doesn't really get you further along, but it helps you. You can also, we have spheres, and spheres are kind of like mystery boxes. You buy these spheres, and they will give you certain items, randomly generated, well, not randomly generated, random chance of getting a certain set of items. And so those are probably the most fun in the Royal Shop, I think, because it's kind of like Christmas. Every time you buy one, you get something new. And there's things that are helpful to your character, but nothing that's like, oh, wow, I'm going to get to level 5 so much faster.
Yeah.
So it's not that bad.
Yeah, to sum up, not pay to win. It's mostly pay for convenience, pay for security, but not pay to win.
Right.
So, I mean, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have this week. I really want to thank Rod and Todd for joining us. We'll see you again next month with another Wizardry Online podcast or webcast. Coming up next week, well, my note is not complete here. It says, Game Blah, same time, same place. Hear about XYZ. So we will be coming back next week with an SOE community webcast about something, and it's currently a mystery. So you guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
I'll have a producer's letter coming out soon, too.
Sony.